Hello, my name is Monica Choflet, and I'm one of the worship leaders at the Church of Grace and Peace. Recently, I've been hearing a lot of different people talk about how we should take advantage of this time in quarantine and rest in God. And I'm here right now to tell you that we should do that. I'm here to continue talking about the importance of that because I think it's such good wisdom and a really great use of time right now. So, I'm actually going to start this off by reading a section in the Bible to you. It is in Luke 23 and part of Luke 24. It actually goes really great with this season because this is the Easter season, so I'm sure a lot of you guys have been reading in Luke, probably these chapters about Jesus when he was crucified and the process of him being buried in the tomb and then resurrecting. So that's actually what we're going to look at right now. So if you would like to read along with me, I am reading Luke chapter 23, verses 53, all the way through chapter 24 to verse 2. We're going to stop at verse 2. All right, so just a little context here. This is going to be taking place right after Jesus was crucified on the cross. And there was a man named Joseph, not his father, but a different man named Joseph that came and asked to get permission to take Jesus's body down and bury it in the tomb. So that's where we are at right now. So verse 53 says, "Then he took it down, wrapped it in linen cloth, and placed it in a tomb cut in the rock, one in which no one had yet been laid. It was preparation day, and the Sabbath was about to begin. The women who had come with Jesus from Galilee followed Joseph and saw the tomb and how his body was laid in it. They went home and prepared spices and perfumes, but they rested on the Sabbath in obedience to the commandment." Okay, chapter 24, verses 1 and 2. "On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb." All right, so verse 3 says, "But when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus." Okay, we'll stop there. So we know, because if we keep reading, we know that they did not find Jesus's body there because he resurrected. He came to life and he got out of the tomb. So what I actually want to focus on here is, this is a part that I never paid attention to before, but the part that says, it's talking about the women preparing spices. So they would prepare spices and they would put it with the body in the tomb, but it actually says in verse 56 of chapter 23, it says that they rested on the Sabbath in obedience to the commandments. So these women got the spices and the perfumes ready, but they couldn't actually go and they couldn't actually do what they were supposed to do with it because Jesus actually was crucified just before Sabbath. And if you're not familiar with the Sabbath is the day where people are supposed to rest. They're not allowed to do any work. So it's really interesting. I never thought about this before. When Jesus was crucified and had died, his friends, his closest friends, really couldn't properly grieve and go through that grieving process right away. I mean, of course, I'm sure that they cried and expressed themselves that way, but they couldn't do the normal rituals that you would do for when someone died because the Sabbath happened right after. So they actually had to respect that and honor the Sabbath day and just not do any work. So they couldn't properly grieve in that time. And then when the Sabbath was over, they went to go to the tomb where Jesus was buried so that they could continue with the proper burial customs. And they didn't find his body because he resurrected, which is just such a beautiful picture for us. Now, the reason that I'm pointing this out is because I just started thinking about how a lot of times when we're going through hard times, we tend to just struggle with it and we grieve and we go through all of that stuff, and I just think that the best thing that we can do is rest in God because God always knows the outcome. He always knows how it's going to end. So in this situation, in this scenario, God knew that Jesus was going to raise from the dead. God knew that Jesus was not going to be found in that tomb anymore. So it's actually pretty cool that God planned it out that way to happen on those exact days, because Jesus' friends, instead of going through the rituals and going through that finality, that process of burying him in the tomb and doing everything they were supposed to be doing, they had to wait and they had to rest. They had to rest in God because it was the Sabbath day. And then, after they had rested, they went to go and continue the process, but they didn't need to continue the process because Jesus had risen from the grave. It's just such a beautiful picture how when we rest in God and we choose to look to him, God already knows the outcome. So we rest in him, and then we're going to see his outcome coming. So instead of spending all that time that we could be spending on mourning and on just being just horribly heartbroken or whatever the case may be, go to Jesus and seek him. And yes, of course, you're still going to be sad and you're still going to have those feelings. But when you give those to God and you just rest in God and you seek him, he will take care of you, and his outcome that he has planned will still come. So it's just so beautiful. And I also was thinking about how when Jesus was on the boat with his disciples and this big storm started coming, but Jesus was sleeping. He was literally resting when an actual storm was around them. And it's just an amazing picture that God just keeps showing us in the Bible over and over again, that in the middle of our storm, we just need to rest in him. We just need to rest, and God's going to take care of us. Now, that doesn't mean that we just lay back and do nothing, right? When we rest in God, that means that we're still being active, that we're still choosing to trust him. We're putting our trust in him. We are praying to him. We are reading the Bible. We are seeking him. We might even get accountability with other of our friends, right? So it's still something that's active. We still do something, but we can rest in him and let his peace guard our hearts that way. And I just wrote this down this morning while I was doing my devotions, but when I was realizing all of this and thinking about how we need to just trust God with our lives, I just thought on the other side of rest in God is resurrection. So when we choose to rest in God and to trust him, we will see that he was in control the whole time and that he has something so beautiful planned and that he's going to take care of it. He's going to make all things work for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So I just want to leave you with that phrase. On the other side of rest in God is resurrection. Happy Resurrection Sunday, everybody, and I hope that you're really seeking God and looking at the beautiful, beautiful thing that Jesus did for us during the season. Well, during forever, but specifically during the season, we really focus on it. All right, thank you. Bye.